Hello, thanks for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell, for your in-depth horoscope forecast for week commencing the 19th of August for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be grateful if you did so now. This week begins with a shift of emphasis beginning to take shape. Late last week, Mars, the planet of drive, moved into the sign of Virgo. Now, this is a bit counterintuitive because Mars is about the individual. It's about our desire to get instant gratification. It's a more masculine energy. Of course, Virgo is the virgin. It is about sacrifice and purity. But Mars in this area can see us able to work harder, sustain our efforts in a much more focused way, and look for tangible results. Now, Mars is going to be joined on Wednesday by Venus. Now, Venus in the sign of Virgo is also quite self-sacrificing. And then they're both joined on Friday by the Sun, which returns to Virgo for the first time in 11 months. Now, in the last phase of this week, the three are going to be together. So we have a stellium. And this is going to be fascinating because they're also going to be linking to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So we have this greater emphasis on the things that require our attention to detail and where we need to be thorough and precise and discriminating, which all comes from that Virgo energy. But there's also a push to be creative, inventive, and a bit spontaneous, which is coming from the energy from Uranus. Also, as we enter into this week, we still have the backdrop of last week's Venus-infused full moon, which occurred in the sign of Aquarius. So we were already being asked to juggle our priorities and manage our time, especially in a social or romantic context. So I think what this Virgo energy is going to ask us to do is really focus. And the interesting thing also is there is a quarter moon on Friday in the sign of Gemini, which could see us tempted, because of the Virgo energy, to almost be too virtuous and to try to pack in so much at the end of this week that we actually end up spreading ourselves too thinly. So really prioritizing on what's really important is going to be really helpful. And the other thing that's happening this week is that Mercury, now it's going forwards in the sign of Leo, is actually forging a superb angle to Jupiter. So Jupiter, of course, is in Sagittarius, itself going forwards. So if there is a scheme which requires us to think big, be positive, but apply ourselves in a very precise way, which is supported by this Virgo energy, well, we're certainly getting it all together. But it's important to understand that the stellium between the Sun and Venus also links with Mars, and that's quite a sultry combination. So it may say us orientated in some way with our passions to do something that can be good for someone or good for a relationship, but especially where we can think of another person's needs and be a bit more thoughtful or practical in the way that we help them. Your specific forecast, Aries, really is fascinating because for you, last week's full moon is really giving you a big option. There may be a fork in the road that you're contemplating, and something can seem mightily alluring and attractive, especially because Venus was so involved in the mix. And this week, with Mercury and Jupiter sparkling so brightly, there may still be one particular person or strand of your situation which seems very attractive because it is larger than life. It sparkles with charisma. It has positivity. But in order to make this work, I think this week's energies ask you to really embrace the nitty-gritty as well as keep your sense of optimism for that big picture. And if you can do that, if you can think big but apply in a very practical and concentrated and tangible way, sort of form and function, you really are going to get the best of both worlds this week. I'd like to tell you about personal astrology. If you're interested in your time, date and place of birth and how they influence your situation beyond your zodiac sign, please join me by clicking on the link beneath this video, and you can achieve a 30% discount by buying one of my 12-month forecasts and a character analysis from my chart store. Or if you prefer, you can have a one-to-one chat with me. But for now, good luck and goodbye.